I missed a turn. I was by myself. It was actually for work. I eventually realized that something didn't feel right. Hi everyone, welcome to my first Q&A video, and do not worry, I don't plan on doing a ton of these. Anyways, over on my community page, I asked you guys if you were interested in a Q&A, and most people said they were, so here I am. And then I also use my community page to have people ask the questions that they want me to answer. I really hope I can answer them all, but we will see how long the video gets. So this video is me answering questions pretty much about myself, so if you are not interested in that, I recommend clicking out right now. If you are interested, then I welcome you. Tell us more about your time on a fire crew. What were your duties? Do you have any funny, crazy, or creepy stories? I guess I'll first start out with what my duties were. I did a lot of different things. I dug fire line for a prescribed burn. I actually did a lot of trail work, but instead of normal trail work, the trail work consisted of going into a burn area with full Nomex, hard hat, fire boots, fire packs, which are really not comfortable. They did not fit me. I also did a lot of, I guess what I would call hazard tree assessment. So I would start hiking along a trail and I would flag trees that were extra hazardous before the area could be open to the public. If those trees were in the front country, they would likely be chainsawed down. If they were in the wilderness, because chainsaws are not allowed in the wilderness, they were actually blown up with dynamite. And then I also did some swamping, so I would follow somebody with a chainsaw and I would pick up brush and throw it off of the trail. Funny, crazy, or creepy stories while I was on a fire crew. I'm trying to think of any specific stories. Oh, I guess one. So when I was getting fitted for my Nomex outfit, I remember having to pick out pants, and I'm a very, very small person. There was one pair of pants that I found that was off in the corner, really small pair, and one of the fire guys was there, and he started cracking up because apparently when those pants came in to the cache, they laughed about them and called them Barbie pants because of how small they were, and they were like, there's no way anyone is ever going to fit into these pants. Well, I did. When are you going to start hammock camping? I have never hammock camped, but I do not have a hammock and I do have a tent. I'm actually kind of interested, but I guess not interested enough to go out and buy a hammock. One piece of gear you don't own but wish you did. Okay, I have a good answer for this, or I have an answer that I'm very passionate about. And it's not a backpacking item, not really a hiking item, I guess. It's a car camping thing. So I have the Exped Megamat sleeping pad, and I pretty much lived off of that thing for a year. It is so comfortable. And I use it in the Forerunner when we go car camping, but I really, 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 really wish I had the much larger version. I think there's a duo version, but it is really expensive. It seems a little extravagant, so we have not made that purchase. But if poof, I were hoping for one piece of gear to suddenly appear, the Exped Megamat Duo would be the one. If there are two people stranded on a mountain, one likes cats and another likes dogs, which do you save, and why is it cats? It wouldn't be cats. So, have you ever backpacked in the Midwest? No, Dan, I have not. I have been to the Midwest one time ever in my life, and that was actually this past October. We drove to Illinois from Salt Lake to go pick up an MG Midget, but I have not had much interest in backpacking in the Midwest because of everything that I have that is much closer by. Who in the hiking YouTube community do you look up to when it comes to content? Also, what do you do besides hiking? Jobs, other hobbies, etc. Somebody in the YouTube community that I actually haven't talked to at all, someone whose videos I've always liked way before I thought that I would ever be making videos, is My Own Frontier. He goes to a lot of awesome places that I either really want to go or I have been. So I'm really interested in his trip videos, which is pretty much the only thing that is on his channel. Okay, also, what do I do besides hiking? I climb. You definitely have seen that in some of my videos, but I don't show it very often because my channel is mostly related to hiking and backpacking, so I don't really show that so much. I also really like cooking. I make almost all of my meals, and I really enjoy doing that. Other than that, I also really enjoy laying on the couch and watching trash TV. And I really, really, really like dogs, but I am not ready to have a dog yet. Maybe next year. As far as hikes are concerned, have you ever been so scared that you honestly thought it could end very badly? And describe your perilous situation. In July of 2018, Carson and I went to Grand Teton National Park, and we thought we were going to do day hikes and do some day climbing, but we walked into the ranger station when we got there and asked if there was a permit to camp at the campsites you usually camp at if you're going to summit Grand Teton, and he said they were. And so that night we did a bunch of research. If you don't know, it is a part technical climb, so it includes a kind of a gnarly approach and then a climb, unless you're going to free solo it, which I think a lot of people do, but I was not down for that. I want to say it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, and it was because of the exposure. And it was terrifying because there were a lot of no-fall zones where if you made a mistake or if you fell, it would be certain death. And that definitely made me anxious. Definitely an experience. We might go back and take a different route another day, a different climbing route. Same approach though, or mostly the same approach. Did you get any new gear on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales? I did not. Yeah, there wasn't anything that I really, really needed that made me check out any sales. If you had to choose just one location to camp at, where would it be and why? Ooh. Oh boy. I might need to think about that one for a minute. Honestly, I feel like I could probably think of an answer for this one after days of thinking. I mean, Havasupai kind of comes to mind because, like, I'm thinking if there were no limitations such as, amount of days you could be there and the amount of money it cost, it's a really amazing place to camp because, like, I'm just imagining giving a day to every one of the waterfalls there, or even a part of the creek. It's an amazing, beautiful place. I've already been there, and I don't have plans to go again anytime soon, but wow, is it a spectacular place to camp at. You have been to some spectacular places. Would you consider coming to New Hampshire and doing a video on whatever hike you do? One of the New Hampshire favorites is the Pemi Loop. I'm assuming that's how you say that. I think most people do it in 3 days or less, or maybe Mount Washington. It's all pretty challenging. So I have been to New Hampshire one time ever in my life, and that was actually this past year. And I did do a little bit of hiking. It was cold, it was spring, and there was a lot of snow. And so I just kind of got out on like a super random trail and did a couple miles, and that was it. I was kind of scoping out hikes in the area, and Mount Washington seems really cool, but I don't have any plans on going to New Hampshire just for hiking. I don't know. Maybe one day, we will see. What's the most valuable lesson the trail gave you? That is a very good question, and I'm sorry I'm not eloquent enough to give the answer that this question deserves. I think one of the most valuable lessons I have learned on the trail, I would say it's getting through uncomfortable situations. I do think that kind of pushing through things that are hard makes you learn a lot more about yourself, a lot more about your limits, and I think that is very valuable. I have worked most of my career outdoors, and so I have been in situations that are dangerous or scary, and I think being able to think in the moment when there's no one else out there to help you has really helped me grow as an individual. What other activities do you do to keep yourself fit and strong for challenging hiking and backpacking trips? This is a great question, and actually I could probably make an entire video on this. So I do climb, and I now live a walking distance to the climbing gym, and the climbing gym consists of a whole gym with weights and cardio equipment. So I do a tiny bitty cardio. I don't have a weightlifting routine right now, but the plan is to get into it. It's just hard when my routine's all over the place, but I do go inside of the gym and climb a lot. I also live less than a half hour to a lot of climbing locations outside, so when it is summer. And then I know you said activities, and I'm going to count cooking as an activity. I actually think a lot of health and fitness comes from eating correctly, so I cook almost every night of the week. I'm really fortunate to be able to do that, and I think that plays a really big role in my overall health. If you could hike anywhere outside the USA, where would you hike? I don't really know what's out there because I've always focused my adventures in the United States because that's what's been most affordable to me. Sorry if the lighting changed. There was a little minor emergency. I just now came back to you. Back to the questions. I have always been kind of interested in going to New Zealand. I don't know a lot about it. Well, actually, I might now know a little bit about it. I might have done some research because let's just say I might be going there soon. Have you ever backcountry camped in deep snow? If not, is it something you'd consider? I have not backpacked in deep snow. I have done one snow trip and I found a patch that was like a slightly bare patch with a little bit of snow, so I'm not going to count it. I would consider deep snow camping, but might not happen this winter, probably won't happen this winter, but I'm definitely open to it in the future. Have you ever been lost or injured on the trail? I actually have a really embarrassing story to go along with this question. I guess it depends on what you mean by being lost. I was going the wrong direction, didn't realize it until it was kind of too late. I think I went about 3 miles out of the way. I missed a turn. I was by myself. It was actually for work. I eventually realized that something didn't feel right. And it's funny because I actually, now that I think about it, I think it was my very first time backpacking solo. But I knew the way I came, so I literally just went back the way I came, but I wasted a whole day and I actually had to go all the way back to where I came from, even though I was on a 2-day journey. Yeah, I was really upset. It was really embarrassing. I think that counts as being lost, right? 6 miles. I did 6 extra miles, woke up the next day, did it all over again, except I went the right way. What size pack do you most regularly find you use for 2 to 3 day excursions? Thanks in advance. Oh, you're welcome. Well, I actually only have one backpacking pack. It is a 60 liter, which I just found out is actually a 54 liter because of the size backpack I have. It was my very first backpack. I've had it for about 10 years. I'll probably switch to something smaller, but until then, my, I guess technically 54 liter has worked out for me. It's just I often have a lot of extra space in there, especially if I'm not carrying a bear can. Shout out to one of my patrons. More info on your climbing. Do you guys do any trad or just sport and top rope? What's your base weight with your rack and ropes? Do you keep your climbs close to the trailhead or do you hike any distance with the weight? This is a great question. I'm excited to answer this because I don't get to talk about climbing very much on my channel since it is mostly hiking and backpacking, but we go climbing a lot and it's a big part of our lives. We actually mostly do trad. What's your base weight with your rack and ropes? So I actually do not know. However, I do know that we did go on a backpacking trip in the Sawtooths this year, and it was a backpacking climbing trip. So we backpacked in and climbed on that trip, and it was 32 pounds, which is a lot more than I'm used to carrying, but it's also nothing insane. I usually carry the rack and Carson, he usually carries the rope. So, and then we obviously each carry our own personal climbing stuff like harness and gree and rappelling devices and that kind of thing. Do you keep your climbs close to the trailhead or do you hike any distance with the weight? This past year, the trip I was talking about that we did in the Sawtooths, it was both of our very first time backpacking and climbing. It was definitely challenging. In the Wasatch, most of the approaches are 10 to 15 minutes, so they're pretty close to the trailhead. And we have definitely gone on climbs, long multi-pitch climbs, where there is like a 2 to 5 mile hike to get to it. Have you ever got to backpack any trails on the East Coast side? Like maybe the Great Smoky Mountain or any of the AT, etc. No, I have done a couple very short hikes in New Hampshire. So no, I'm gonna say that I have not. Maybe one day. For right now, I have so much around me. Okay, last question. Hopefully this video isn't absolutely insanely long. What kind of charging equipment have you found best to keep your recording devices fully charged when on a long hike? So most of my trips are no longer than 4 days, and usually a large Anchor external battery helps. I don't know the size of the one I have. I will put it in the comments below because I'm not even sure where that is right now, but I will go find it later for you guys. And then I do carry extra batteries for my microphone, camera, and headlamp. That is the end of my Q&A. Now you might know a little more about me whether you wanted to or not. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.